Alrighty, thank you for joining me today. We will be playing some Beipiaosaurus on EU servers. We are going to get nested in. My friend invited me, and so we are going to see what it's like on the EU servers. Now, I am from the US, so I will probably have terrible ping, but we will see what's up, and we'll dive right into it. As I've been nested in, I noticed that my family is gigantic. There are a lot of Beipis. We're over by Highland Lake, it looks like. And I am definitely not part of the first family. Looking around, it's nighttime, and I am very small. So we're going to try our best to live to adulthood here, and hope that no predators manage to scoop us up on the way, as we are one of the smallest creatures in the Isle. As a baby Beipi, there's not a whole lot going on here. It's a bunch of my family. We're in a large lake. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. And we have our first dinosaur that is not a Beipi. Across the shoreline here, you can see a couple of our family is not very happy to find a Ceratosaurus. This thing could kill us in one bite, and so we have to be very careful here. I am still a baby, so I cannot go and eat on my own. I have to stick by my parents. This gives all of us but one option. We have to leave. We cannot take down a Ceratosaurus. A second one showed up also, as you saw. We have to get out. Thankfully the lake is big, and we can swim across. Even as a baby, it's just a little sketchy. My hunger turns red here as I am swimming away. So I just try to get away and stick as close to my parents as possible, because they have to feed me until I'm a certain growth percentage. Just in time, I make it across the lake with my parents. I've been trying to stick as close to them as possible, and as you can see, my screen is very red around the corners. I'm not doing too hot, so I ask them for food and fill up again, as I hopefully will soon be able to eat my own fish and go and find my own plants. I decide to check my mutations. I have increased oxygen, underwater vision range, and bleed resistance. I guess it kind of makes sense as a Beipi in case you slash your friend on accident, but it's not normally one that I would think about taking as a Beipi, but it never hurts to have. Those are the ones that I've inherited from my parents, so because I was nested in, I get extra mutations. And I decided to go back out and swim in the water for a bit. What I am doing here as I float at the top of the water, there is a visual bug with the water where if you're at the surface or near the surface, you can angle your camera just right and you can see much better than with regular underwater vision range, which is why I don't normally take underwater vision range, but I don't normally play Beipi either. It was quite nice to have here to see a bit better. But I'm angling my camera just right to see what else is in the water with me at quite the distance. Before I knew it, it was time to pick my first mutation. And looking through them, I realized that there's really only one as a baby Beipi that I would want to take, and that is hydrodynamic to increase my swimming speed by a good measure. As being in the water is my safety, I want it to be a bit safer. I make a decision to go and hunt my very own fish as my hunger's getting low, and I've gotten that first mutation. And here we are, got a schooling fish. Nice and yummy. trying to eat it while I float on top of the water doesn't seem to work, so it looks like I may have to go to shore here to try and consume this fish. I make it to the shore, no problem. We do hear a stego off in the distance, and I try to eat my fish, and it's gone. It disappears. I can't eat it, and so back to the water I go to find another. Alright, back to the shore again. I found another fish, and this one does let me drop it and consume it, and I am a much happier Beipi with a much more full stomach. As I continue my journey through the lake in my home here, I am trying to catch schooling fish underwater, which proves to be much more difficult than I have expected. I simply cannot catch the schooling fish under the surface. So I decide to go back up top here and see if I can catch something up top. As I surface, I notice there is something that is not a Beipi on the shore, so I decide to go and check it out. And it appears to be a dibble and a dilo, which may seem like an odd grouping, but we are on official servers, and they don't seem particularly aggressive, which is a little weird, but it's officials. I grab a fish, and thankfully they don't seem aggressive whatsoever, so I eat it on the shore, and I decide it's time to make some friends. Now, I absolutely do not recommend walking up to much larger dinosaurs than you and moving back and forth. Quite often they will think that you are trying to be eaten to respawn. I'm doing this here out of pure curiosity as to how friendly this carnivore and herbivore pairing actually is. It looks like a baby Tenno has decided to show up. One of the other dinosaurs in the game that can jump. I decide to give it a go and try jumping a few times to see if it will jump with me. It does take it a little bit, but it warms up. It realizes that we're not being aggressive and the other dinosaurs don't seem to be particularly perturbed with us, and it does eventually decide to jump, sealing in the deal that we are now friends. Life progresses. I am growing bigger on Highlands Lake here. This is the calmest session of the Isle I have had in probably months. And I've just been hanging out, swimming a bit, jumping with other dinosaurs. It is a really weird, but not unwelcome feeling. But it doesn't feel quite like the horror survival game that the Isle quite often can be. Not yet, at least. A second Dilo shows up. We haven't seen him before, so I dip back into the water to make sure he's safe. And as I do, a full-grown Deinosuchus emerges onto the shore. Now this is enough to make me unwilling to be in the water anymore. But one of the other Beipi states that they are a friend. And life goes back to being quite calm. In the distance, I see a large carnivore approaching. It is none other than a Carnotaurus, so I am going to stay in the water right now because those things are fast. I may play around with them a little bit, but as a bet, the smartest move is to go nowhere near them. Then again, I never did say I was the smartest Beipi. The Carnotaurus hang around for quite a while, so I decide it is time to progress with my growth, as I am still not 100%. It does take quite a while to get there, even as a Beipi on official servers. And so I go to find some more food for myself and grow a little bit. And so I will fast forward here to a bit later on. As I go and get some plants from the patrol zone, try to get my perfect diet up, I look at my size and I am getting very close to full grown, but as I do, I hear some loud footsteps. So I make my way back to the lake here as stealthily as possible and try to rejoin my family. Making it back to my family, I check my growth again. I am 85%. I am almost full grown. I just have to wait it out a little bit. So I settle down on top of a lookout log. And I am glad that I did, because as a lookout, I see a Ceratosaurus approaching, possibly the same one I dipped into the lake to run from earlier. Now, I don't expect this Ceratosaurus to be able to walk up this log. I expect it wrong. I barely escape alive. It looks like he just managed to snag my tail there. Thank goodness I survived this. I wanted to make full grown, and I did not want to die, so into the lake I go, and away I go quickly. I heal up and become full grown, and I go back over to where some of the other Beipis are now nesting again. When I get back, there is a Ceratosaurus that is trying to eat another Ceratosaurus. I'm not sure why, but it seems the Beipi family, the Dino and the Tenno, are protecting the Ceratosaurus that is being hunted. And my predator instinct kicks in, and I begin to hunt the Ceratosaurus that is much, much larger than I. It can't possibly go wrong. Although I do have some conflicting feelings, as you can see here. Really want to get a tag on this Cerato, at least make him bleed a little bit. I'm doing everything I can here to just get close enough without getting eaten, because Ceratos can absolutely one-shot Beipis. I come out of the water and I decide to make my move and try to bait him just close enough to where I might be able to take a swing at him. And it appears that that is the end of my Beipi's life. It's been a good time. It was quite enjoyable growing. Very easy this time around. And I am going to be food for a much larger carnivore. But that is the way the Isle goes. So thank you all for watching, and feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. And give me suggestions as to what dinosaur to grow next, as well as what server to play on, official or unofficial. Let me know what you want to see, and I will do my best to make it happen.